In context of the sub-unit 2, that is rural agrarian transformation, I would also discuss sub-unit 2 of unit C, that is rural agrarian transformation. I would also discuss green revolution. Green refers to the green field of our country. Revolution means abrupt, immediate, sudden, substantial and significant changes. So the sudden changes which have been introduced in matter of production style of our agricultural land, that is called green revolution. How our sociologists have studied both the positive and negative consequences of green revolution with certain sociological case study, I would also discuss. Apart from that, here also I would discuss the changing mode of production in Indian agriculture, how new types of farmings have been emerged in our country, like contract farming has been introduced in era of globalization, how new type of groups are emerging, new types of classes are emerging in our agricultural society, like the middle caste or middle class peasantry, then capitalist farmers, gentleman farmers. All these things I will discuss here. Apart from that, in context of rural agrarian transformation, I would also discuss what are the problems of the agricultural workers, how agricultural workers were the bonded labor earlier, what changes have taken place in matter of ending the bondage labor, what are the constitutional provision for it, what is the governmental measure for it, what initiative have been taken by citizens of our country in the matter of stopping bonded labor, and how migration is an important feature of rural society, how workers from rural society are migrating into urban area, what are the conditions of economic conditions, social conditions of the migrant workers. Even recently COVID-19 has taken place in our country, how that COVID-19 has affected the migrant workers. All these things will be discussed here. Then the third subunit of unit C is industrialization and urbanization. The process by which industries are established in different parts of a country, that is called industrialization. Industrialization and urbanization, they are not co-terminus, they are not one and same concept. Rather, they are two different concepts. What is urbanization? Urbanization refers to the process by which the towns and cities grow in our country, and the process by which the proportion of urban population is increasing in our country. So in context of this urbanization and industrialization, I will make a detailed discussion how the foundation of modern industry was laid in India, what was the colonial policy of industrialization, how in post-independence India, while Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru became the Prime Minister of the country, how he adopted the techno-scientific model of industrialization, Nehru's vision of industrialization. Nehru gave emphasis on state-centric, centralized, heavy industry oriented scientific approach of growth, because of which different new industries emerged in our country, and how in post-independence India new towns and cities emerged, and how during British India also certain towns and cities they also emerged, and what are the different working classes in industry, how because of impact of globalization a tremendous change is taking place in the condition of workers. So what is working class, what is their structure, what is their class mobilization, what is their growth potential, how in our economy both formal and informal sectors they are coexisting, and because of the impact of globalization the gap between formal and informal sector of work is reducing by day, and sociologists are using a concept for it that is called formalization of a workforce. How poverty level among the female worker is also growing day by day, for which sociologists they use a concept like feminization of poverty, feminization of workforce. Apart from that, in this subunit, I would also discuss what is child labor, what measure has been adopted in constitution keeping in mind how to eliminate it, what steps have been taken by the government in the matter of stopping child labor, but how, because of the change related to our economy which has taken place, child labor is also existing because of globalization. All these things will be discussed here. Then the fourth subunit of Unit C is Politics and Society in India. In this context, I will discuss particularly the political development in post-independence India. How once upon a time Indian National Congress was having a hegemonic position in Indian politics, and how after 1990 the dynamics or the nature of politics has been changed in our country. How today the culture of coalition has emerged. Apart from that, here also I will discuss the topics like what role caste system is playing in matter of politics, and how the voters are mobilized or influenced by different political parties during the time of election. All these things will be discussed in this context, that is the fourth subunit of Unit C. The next subunit is Social Movement in India. What is social movements? An organized collective venture on part of a group of people being inspired by an ideology under the influence of certain leadership with an objective of promoting change or resisting change is called social movement. Different social movements have taken place in post-independence India, like farmers movement, that is called peasant movement, industrial workers movement, that is simply called workers movement. Then is Dalit movement, the movements organized by scheduled caste people. Then backward caste movement means a group of people are there, those who are above the Dalit but below the higher caste. So this group of people, they are called backward caste. So what type of movements they have organized in our country? Apart from that, here also I will discuss the most important movement, that is women's movement. Here also I will discuss feminism, types of feminism, as well as different waves of feminism which have taken place in our country. So this is all about the social movement in modern India. Along with it, here also I will discuss various types of environmental movement in our country. Then the next subunit, that is Unit 6 of Unit C. Subunit 6 of Unit C, that is population dynamics in India. Population dynamics means change. How change is taking place in our population. What is the nature of Indian population? What are the factors promoting the explosion of population? What policies have been adopted by Government of India, particularly from 1951 onward, in the matter of reducing the growth rate of population? What is our population policy? How the new population policy has an objective of bringing stabilization of population by 2045. Apart from that, here also I will discuss what is the health policy, what is the reproductive health policy, what is the importance of sex education. All these things will be discussed here. Apart from that, infant mortality, what are the factors responsible for it, higher maternal mortality rate, factors responsible for it. All these things will be dealt here in this context, that is population dynamics. Then the last subunit of unit C, that is challenges of social transformation. Social transformation means social change. You know, whenever a change takes place in a society, this change brings lots of opportunities for the people of our country, and at the same time social transformation or social change also brings enormous unwanted challenges. So benefits of social change will not be discussed here. Rather, what are the challenges, negative aspects of change that Indian society has already experienced, that will be discussed here. So you see, in this context, I would say different developmental projects have taken place in our country, like industrialization, like urbanization, like establishment of special economic zones, like construction of big dams, establishment of huge universities. And what are the negative impact of all these things? How the negative impact of developmental project of our country is affecting our environment? What is sustainable development? How we are moving towards unsustainable model of growth and development? What measures have been taken by the government in the matter of reducing the level of pollution? In which summits India has participated, keeping in mind how to promote and protect a green and clean climate. Apart from that, here also I would discuss how, because of developmental projects, many people in our country have become the victims of displacement. This is called development induced displacement. So what is the meaning of development induced displacement? And what policies have been adopted by the government in the matter of reducing the displacement of the people while development is taking place? How different sociologists have conducted case studies related to development induced displacement. Apart from that, in this subunit, last subunit, I would also discuss poverty in India, deprivation and different types of inequalities that is existing in India, how steps have been adopted by the government in the matter of reducing poverty, inequality and feeling of deprivation among our people. Along with it, here also I would discuss status of women. What was the status of women in past society? How in post-independence India a drastic and dramatic change has taken place with respect to the status of women. Here also I would discuss violence or atrocities against women. What are the reasons of increasing rate of crime against women in today's India? How women have become the victims of sexual harassment both in public places as well as in office, and what measures have been adopted in matter of reducing this type of crime against women, domestic violence, even the new initiatives taken either because of the instruction of Supreme Court or because of the initiative of government itself in the matter of upgrading and uplifting the position of women, like I can say entry of women into Sabarimala, entry of women into Haji Ali Dargah. Apart from that, even banning triple talaq, and what is the view of the Islamic personal law board related to it. All these things will be discussed here. Apart from that, the next topic that will be discussed here is caste conflict. How caste conflict is taking place in post-independence India. What are the reasons of caste conflict in our country? Different case studies conducted by sociologists related to caste conflict in modern India. Next topic of discussion here is ethnic conflict. There are different ethnic groups in our country. What is ethnic group? Ethnic group is a group of people which has been formed on any particular attribute of culture. So a linguistic group can be regarded as an ethnic group, a caste group can be regarded as an ethnic group, a tribal group can be regarded as an ethnic group, a religious group can be regarded as an ethnic group. Particularly, northeastern part of India is the fertile bed of ethnic conflict. Ethnic conflict is taking place in Nagaland between Naga and Kuki. Ethnic conflict is taking place in Manipur between Meitei and non-Meitei. Ethnic conflict is taking place in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in West Bengal. So, what is ethnic conflict? What is ethno-nationalism? How ethno-nationalism is promoting a very limited approach for which Indian nationalism is given a severe blow, that will be discussed here. Apart from that, a new process of transformation is taking place related to our religion. This is called religious revivalism. You see, today also, the influence of religion has not been reduced. Religion is taking new forms of participation. New types of gods and goddesses are emerging in our country. Popularity of worshipping one god or one saint is gaining ground, like the Satya Sai Baba cult, Shirdi Sai Baba cult. Why this type of cults are emerging, that will be discussed here. Apart from that, at the end of this unit C, I would also discuss disparities in Indian education, how inequality exists on the basis of caste, on the basis of language, on the basis of religion, on the basis of gender, on the basis of region of our country. Related to education, how inequality is existing and what steps have been taken by government to bridge the gap. And finally, here also I will discuss the new education policy 2020, what are its challenges and what are its opportunities. So in this way, as I told you earlier, unit is paper 2 of sociology consists of 3 main units. Unit A has 2 subunits. Unit B has 6 subunits and unit C has 7 subunits. So 7 plus 6, 13 plus 2, that is 15 subunits are there, though there are 3 main units. So I will make a detailed discussion related to all these subunits with proper case study, with proper sociological analysis, because if you write the answer by adopting sociological analysis, by mentioning case study, then you will have higher possibility of scoring good marks in paper 2 sociology. Generally, scoring good marks in paper 2 sociology is not so easy, because most of the students, while they write the answer of paper 2, they write the answer by adopting a generalist perspective. But for the purpose of scoring good marks, your approach should have sociological orientation. There is a saying that winners do not do different things. They do the things by adopting certain difference in their approach. And once you would watch all these videos related to sociology paper 2, each and every topic, I am sure and certain that a different orientation will be added to your way of analyzing sociology, so that you will be able to score better marks in paper 2 sociology while your paper will be evaluated by UPSC. This is all about an introduction to paper 2 of sociology of UPSC syllabus. Thank you a lot. Thank you.